All right, so welcome to Wizarding Wands and Mickey Ears. We've got a new discussion today, specifically all about the Disney treasure. But I think we have to get started with a little bit of information about Universal because of Epic Universe. So, Christy, do you want to share the big news?
Oh my gosh. So, of course, Epic Universe set to open at Universal May 22nd, which is coming really fast. First of all, like, how is it March 13th? I don't even know. But the news for today is they released 1 day tickets for Epic Universe. That's crazy. Prior to today, you had to have at least 3 day park tickets, and only one of those days was good for Epic Universe. But as of today, 1 day tickets are available for just Epic. Nothing else. So no Express Pass, no news as to when that might be out. But at least 1 day tickets. We thought it would actually be a little bit later. I thought they were gonna open and be underway before they released 1 day tickets. So I'm actually kind of surprised.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I really did think that they were going to wait until after the park was open, after things were moving along smoothly, but they've been doing cast member previews already, so it sounds like things are going pretty well. I know I have a ton of, potential folks who are looking to book. But we're waiting until they could do more than 1 day at Epic
Yeah.
Universe. So I think that this will change things for them as well. So yeah, so exciting
Those
Universal news,
exciting
but
Universal news. And as you can see, I have now moved to this. So last time I was on, I wasn't able to be on right before we left for vacation. But before that, Jennifer was sitting in the Disney Treasure, and now I have moved to the pool deck of the Disney Treasure.
yeah.
We are so excited to talk about her today. So we've both now been on board. Jennifer was on the Western Caribbean 7 night, and I just got home on Saturday from the 7 night Eastern Caribbean with stops in. So there's two different Easterns. The typical one stops in Tortola, in the British Virgin Islands, and St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Plus, of course, beautiful Castaway Key. Oh, I should have grabbed my medal. Oh, more on that later. I haven't totally unpacked yet because I really want to go back. Like, she's such an amazing ship.
I agree. I mean, I love every sailing I've been on a Disney cruise, but I think right now, I don't know, I love the Wish. I love everything about the Wish. I need to get back on the Wish. I think the treasure sailing overall, though, has been my favorite so far of all of my experiences. And I don't think, I mean, there's just so much about the ship that I love that I think it ekes out all of them so far. And maybe we'll eke out the Destiny too. I don't know. My next book sailing is not until January on the Destiny. Um, but there's just something about the whole picture. I mean, the whole ship, everything that was involved, all the activities, that really fit my interests. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I will say from the moment that I walked into that space, like where Jennifer is, where you board the ship is to her right, right? Like trying to get my bearings, I think. Left.
This way.
Okay. Oh yeah, over here's the curtain.
It's
Okay.
a kids
So you're
club, yeah.
totally so our right. No, wait. This
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 way.
part. Oh, I can't even do it because it's your picture. There we go. Right here. I'm terrible. Just from the minute I walked in, I was just in awe. Like I'd obviously seen your pictures and everybody's videos and the awesome video that you did, the walk around. So like I thought I was ready. And then, there's that moment that we did boarding and luckily I'm behind the camera because I'm just in like like I don't even know like where all to look. Like I am trying to like wave to the characters. I think as we boarded, it was Jasmine and Aladdin up in the character area above the stage. And I was like, but I feel like my mouth was just wide open. And honestly, I think it was that way for the majority of the cruise. Like, I keep telling people, I love the fantasy, right? Like,
I agree. Yeah.
she's just something special for me. I could be like my two sailings. Like, I'm a huge Dumbo fan also. So obviously, like Dumbo being on the back, like, Baby Mine is like my song for my kids. Like, I love that ship. Like, how you feel about the Wish is how I feel about the fantasy, but they are very different. Like, not only are they a different class of ship, but it's just different. Like with the original four ships, like they are the classics for a reason. Like they have that old time classic feel to them. But the treasure, like I feel like the whole ship, so making her feel a little bit different from me from the Wish, like just felt Disney immersive on the entire ship.
Yeah, right.
Like
No,
not just like the lounges, but like the artwork and the stairway, like it just felt was elevated, like it just felt elevated.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I feel that way on the Wish, but I mean, the castle at sea, the Wish is the castle at sea, and you walk
Yeah.
in and you feel like a princess. And
Hmm.
that speaks to me. But then
Yeah.
getting on the treasure, I didn't know. I thought maybe it would be too dark, the
Yeah.
coloring with the jewel tones, but it's not. It's
It's
gorgeous.
not.
And I think that they improved on some things from the Wish as well. So yeah, so we are going to talk through our experiences on the ship, um and the different, like the dining, the entertainment, what we were able to take advantage of, and all of the spaces, the lounge spaces. So it's hard to know where to get started, but maybe just getting started with day one.
Right,
What day
right.
one experiences look like. Yeah.
I love Embarkation Day, and we were coming from Disney property. You guys were coming from Disney property.
Right.
I love that out of Port Canaveral.
I do
Like
too.
I love the fact that you can stay at Walt Disney World ahead of time for multiple reasons. One, it starts the magic right away, right? Like we were lucky enough we stayed at the Polynesian. I had some work to do, but I was staring at Cinderella's castle the whole time, like, and Pog Juice was just four doors away, like, so if there was some place to work from like that, it could not have gotten any better than that. But the fact that when you take Disney cruise transportation from Walt Disney World, talking specifically to the ship, they come and get your bags out of your room. Like we were eating breakfast when they came and got our bags. Craig was like, "What? I don't have to schlep bags?" It's like, right?
I
So you
know.
take whatever you want for the day. You don't see your bags again, excuse me, until your room, you're
Right.
shortly after your room's ready. I think the majority of our bags were there, prior to the sail away
Yeah.
party.
Same.
And just that relaxation starting right away, like, is just so worth it. You get on the transportation, like I did some work
Right.
for the hour, or I think it took us just under an hour to get over to Port Canaveral. Like we had a great driver that was like pointing out like all these things along the way, and talking about Disney facts, which was fun. And they were playing the video, so like the kids are amused because they're watching the Disney shorts,
Mhm.
so
I
I just
know.
love the fact that it starts right away and you don't have to wait till you're on board to enjoy the magic.
I know. Same. I spent 2 nights at Coronado Springs. I love Coronado, and I knew I was going to have to do some work, but I also went to Epcot to do, to see the Flower and Garden, not Flower and Garden, International Festival of the Arts. That's when I was there. And I love the Festival of the Arts. And so I wanted to be able to get a little bit of time in there. And then Coronado to me is just a great resort to work from. I feel like the spaces are, since it's, largely also a convention resort, it's got all the Disney stuff, but then there's, tons of extra food and comfortable spaces to work from both in your room and outside of your room. So if you don't want to be completely isolated, but want to set up your laptop in, workspace with plenty of, um, with outlets and everything else like that, it's really nice type of
Mhm.
space. But same thing, they came to get our bags. Um, we just chilled and grabbed a cup of coffee from the Barcelona lounge, and waited to board to head to the ship. And we even talked about, we thought for a minute that we would do maybe the table service lunch. And then we were
Mhm.
just so anxious to see the ship once we got on it that we went up to Marceline Market and grabbed a bite to eat there. But even before getting on the ship, I think one of the things that I want to mention, this is not unique to the Treasure, that you can join the ship's Wi-Fi before you're physically on the ship. So when you get to port, they reset the Wi-Fi somewhere around, I think we've learned like 11 or so, 11,
Mhm.
11:15. Once you're on port, you can get onto the ship's Wi-Fi and then hop on the Disney Cruise Line Navigator app as if you were on the ship. And there are always a few extra things available that can be booked at that time. Spaces that might be available on things that had been booked in full. So beverage tasting seminars,
Mhm.
the Royal Gathering, Princess Meet and Greet, will have availability on every time I've checked this right away. I've seen extra availability for that. So if you didn't grab that right away 30 days in advance, that's an option. And then they also had imagining or Imagineering the ship's tours that are not possible to be booked in advance,
Mhm.
that you can only book as soon as you're, at the ship or technically at port before you get on the ship. And so we were able to grab one of those and take a tour, and to have someone point out all the special things about the ship, and it was just really fascinating to learn more about it. But that's again not available, to book in advance. You can only book that once you are at port and on the ship's Wi-Fi. So it's worth hopping on right away before you even board to see if there's something else there that you wanted to book that
Mhm.
wasn't available in advance. So
Right. It's such a great tip. So, luckily for us, we pretty much arrived, got through security, and connected to the ship. And they were like, "We're boarding," and we were boarding group 4.
yeah,
So it was like wham, 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 wham on the ship. So
nice.
there was not even any time to be like, "We've arrived," really kind of thing. Like I connected, of course, my phone was like, "Oh well."
Welcome back.
And we had friends that were traveling, were stayed at the same hotel and everything, and they were first timers. So they were like, "Wait, what do we do?" So we were both walking them through getting connected and showing them like where the schedule was and like how they could find their dining rotation. Because of course, once you connect to the ship's Wi-Fi is when you can see that. And then if something is maybe not how you were hoping it would be, definitely as soon as you get on the ship, go and find the spot for the Treasure. It's in Triton's Lounge, and they start at noon. The line does start before that. That's also the same place you would go if you're trying to get, like, if you weren't able to get a spot for like Palo dinner, Palo brunch, Enchante dinner. Those are the people that you talk to. And there was quite a line when we went. Our ship was a full sailing. Um, According to cast members, the majority of them are. No surprise, she's a brand new ship, and all of the feedback that guests are giving is positive. So she's got quite a reputation already in her first couple of months. So there was a line, we were like number 12-ish in line.
Great.
And it was full like when Platinum booked for our sailing, at least Palo brunch, Palo dinner. I think Enchante soon after. But we got on the wait list, and we actually ended up doing Palo brunch our last day at sea. Which the sad thing about that was that we then didn't eat churro waffles. But if that's the negative of our cruise, like I'll take Palo brunch over churro
I
waffles.
would too. I would too.
Yeah, because I can go get churro waffles, wait, on another cruise
Yep.
or at Crystal Palace at the Magic Kingdom. So like
Right.
I'll take one for the team and do Palo brunch.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I mean, it's important to know that on all the ships, they have a station where you can request changes to, anything with your dining that might not be the way you want it to be or that you weren't able to edit ahead of time. It's not a guarantee, but in most cases, they can make modifications to your dining time. If the rotation you have doesn't work for you for whatever reason, you can potentially ask to change your rotation, all of those different things. You can also request your rotation in advance, or at least like the first restaurant, because the rotation is actually set. But you can request it in advance. And that's something that I did for the
I
sailing.
did
So
too.
when we were able to book um the Apollo and Enchanté, we decided that we wanted Apollo dinner. one of
Mhm.
the nights. And so I booked it on night 3. And then, looking at the dining reservations, I hadn't been, Plaza de Coco is new
Mhm.
on the Treasure, and 1923, I just like 1923. To me, it's a relaxed atmosphere. It's
Yeah.
just a nice, slow, upscale dining experience.
Mhm.
And then there's Worlds of Marvel, and the first night of Worlds of Marvel is exactly the same as it is on the Wish. And so
Mhm.
since I've experienced that twice, I thought, okay, that's the one that I'm comfortable missing because I've done it
Mhm.
twice already. I like it, but I know what it is, and I really wanted Apollo dinner. And
Yeah.
so we requested a rotation where Worlds of Marvel would be our third night. So that meant that we got to start at Coco, which was a really fun
Oh
way
my gosh,
to
us
start the
too. Like,
cycling.
so ours was Coco, but I think our rotation schedule was a little bit different from you guys. But we started with Coco too. That's what I had requested. I was so excited to just see that space. Like, it's just amazing. So for those who have been on the Wish, it is in the same area where Arendelle is, and that still that long hallway and all the decorations leading up to it. Like as you're in line to go sit down, like it's just such an experience just walking down the
It
hall and
sets the
seeing all the different
scene.
things.
It sets the scene as you're like entering down the hallway. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And it was funny. So, like, being in that restaurant 3 times, because, of course, you rotate through all 3 dining
Right.
experiences. And since we started with that one on a 7 night, we had it 3 times. So for us, it was the first night, pirate night,
Same.
and then the very
Last night.
last night.
Yeah.
And I loved having it the very last night too because of the show. I just thought it was like the perfect icing on the cake of our cruise.
Yeah. And I mean, what I liked about Coco was that they had two completely different shows for the two sailings, and they really were. I didn't think that they would be that different. And so
Yeah.
I would say don't miss Plaza de Coco. It's something
Mhm.
where the shows are different. It's an entertainment experience in and of itself. And the food is great.
Is really
So,
good.
yeah.
Like having lived on the Mexico border and spent a lot of like Mexican food is some of my favorite types of food. But like, and we sat with people who were from San Diego. They were lovely. Elsa, how great is that, right? And Eddie, like they were fabulous. Like they've already become friends. Like they were just great. But they've been on multiple Disney cruises before living in San Diego, obviously Mexican food very common there as well, and we all thought that it was very authentically, um, Mexican food, right? So not like specific areas, but like overall, like, and it was really good. And I miss somebody cooking for me.
Well, and you mentioned that you were sitting with another couple, so it was you and your husband who went, and that's another
Yeah.
important thing to know is that Disney Cruise Line will often pair couples with couples.
Mhm.
If you're just sailing as a couple, I've had that experience too. We didn't, request a private table, when sailing with a couple, and so they tend to pair you with other folks. Typically, though, so far, anytime I've sailed with my family of 4, we haven't. I think it's possible if they've got
Mhm.
extra longer tables of 8, but usually if you're sailing as a party of 4 or larger, then you tend to get your own table.
Yeah.
But if you're sailing as 2 or sometimes 3, they'll pair you with another like travel party. So they won't pair you
Yeah.
with someone who is completely different. So if you're
Mhm.
traveling, 2 adults and a 5-year-old, then they're going to look for another 2 adults and a 5-year-old, for example,
Yeah.
to pair you with. If you're traveling as a couple, they'll pair you as a couple. We've traveled together as just the 2 of us,
Mhm.
Christy and I. And so we've been paired with other, female duos as well. So it's really neat. Or again, you can request a private table. It's not guaranteed, but they do a great job.
I think they
Nine
do an
times.
excellent job too, and I think they do an we were talking about it, so the people we were sitting with on this cruise, that was I think their 5th or 6th, something like that, cruise, so they were well experienced Disney cruisers as well. Obviously being out of San Diego, they've cruised on the Wonder quite often. No, I mean, I would too if it was in my backyard, like
Right?
absolutely. And so I was telling them about Jen and I being on the Wonder back to back last year, like that, and what a great experience that was. But I feel like Disney does a really good job, like you were saying, of like matching people up. And I've never sat with other people that like I didn't care for, or that Disney had matched us up with. Like we sat next to some great people when we were on board the Wonder for our first
Yeah.
cruise. And it wasn't that our second
They're
cruise that they
fun.
weren't, it was just that we were having a hard time making it to dinner.
Right, right, yeah.
But like I think Disney does a really great job. So I do try and tell people like don't let that discourage you if you are a group of two and you don't get private table because I think that is the most challenging when you're just a duo to get a private table. Like I've cruised with both of my daughters. So we were a group of three and they put us with a group of four at an eight top.
Wow.
But again, like it was a family and they had two daughters, so like there was similarity. They were very nice people as well. I've never sat at any table and been like, oh, these people are just obnoxious. Not that it doesn't happen, maybe, like, but I think if so, like, definitely talk to your, server or, the maitre d', one or the other about it. And I'm sure that they can figure out something, but we've been really lucky. And like I said, like these people, like I felt like they were like instant friends. In fact, our server the second night said, how long have you guys been friends? And we were like, since yesterday.
That's great.
So definitely, hit it off right away and um, just such a great experience. Like, but starting with Plaza de Coco was just amazing. Um, like I thought, like you said, both shows were very unique. I didn't feel like I was experiencing like the same thing over again. Um, I
Menus
feel
were
like any
different. Yeah.
rotation was probably great, but I feel like starting with Plaza de Coco was just a great knock it out of the park.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I mean, and it's hard, but that first night you just want to get ready and go. So, I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like that started with a really high energy experience.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have complained about any of them, but that was a really nice
Yeah.
start. Our second night, we were in 1923. Did you have a
We were
different?
in Marvel.
You were, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, did I miss
Oh, no,
that?
no, no, no. We were in 1923.
Yeah,
I
okay.
lied.
It should have been the
I
same.
lied because
Yeah.
it was formal night. And I was like, oh, that
Oh,
worked out
great.
well.
Yeah, I know, I agree. So night two is formal night. And basically formal night, all of these nights are completely optional. On Disney Cruise Line, on a 7-night sailing or longer, you will have an optional formal night. All of the nights have photographers, with backdrops and, just in the Grand Hall or atrium, depending on, what they call it on the ship that you're on. They'll have several backdrops. So it doesn't matter what night, you can definitely get photos. But then they also had gosh, the captain was out and various officers were available to chat with. They were passing around some wine and a specialty cocktail and non-alcoholic drinks as well, just for free, included in your sailing
I
on a
know, like multiple
um,
people, I heard that's a great comment because I heard multiple people being like, oh my gosh, it's for free. Like,
yeah.
obviously I'd been on a 7 night before. So like, I was like, whoo, free alcohol. And the wine was good. Like, I thought it
It was
was,
actually, yeah, it was
uh,
very nice.
so Jennifer and I have very different drink preferences, right?
Yeah.
But we also meet in the middle on drinks. So like anytime that Jennifer and I say it's a good drink, it's a good drink.
Right, right.
So
It's not too sweet, not too
not
dry,
too sweet, not too
not
dry.
yeah.
And it was good. And it was good because we were in a very long picture line. I love the picture backdrops and like
Me too.
and especially on formal night because we don't get dressed up like that very often, pretty much cruises and like special occasions, right? So to be able to have somebody else take a picture instead of just like selfies or like prop your camera somewhere or whatever, like let alone that maybe knows what they're doing, like I love it. Jennifer taught me a great tip on our first sailing together when it comes to the picture package. If you get it, you add it ahead of time so you get the discount. And then if you don't download anything and at the end of your sailing, the night before, don't get off the boat. Last night, if you look at your pictures and be like, oh my gosh, I don't like any of these, I don't want any of these, just talk to the people at Shutters and they'll take it off of your package for you. Now, I personally, except for with Jennifer on our first sailing,
Yeah.
is the only time I've ever taken it off once I've added it, but it's a great tip and one that I share with everybody as well.
That was an especially rocky sailing where there was no dressing up and there were no heels because it was we were moving.
You were
So we didn't,
moving.
we missed a lot of the
You were
pictures that we
grooving.
intended to take because it was just a different experience.
It was
But
a
yeah, same
different
thing. I always
experience
add it
all around.
down because I'm never sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another thing that we did for this sailing is that right away, as soon as we got our clothes, as soon as we got our bags, we pulled out everything that we wanted for formal night and things that we may have wanted pressed, and then just threw them in a laundry bag with a note to say, go ahead and get these pressed. And they had them back to us the next day by like 1:30 or
That's
so.
nice.
I mean, it officially says by 5, but they know that everyone wants to be ready for formal night. And so they do their best to get those done quicker. And if it's just having them pressed, then that's something that they can do fairly quickly. So, I was wearing a pair of slacks that got incredibly wrinkled. So I threw a ton of stuff in. I did not pack well.
Mhm.
And it was only what, for the most part, I think it was $1 or $2 per item. I had a dress in there that may have been $3.75, $5, not sure, but not a lot to
Yeah.
make sure that you felt, comfortable in your clothes and could take nice pictures in
Mhm.
those. So that, is a nice thing to think about.
Yeah.
That very, very right away, that first day, as soon as you get your
Yeah.
luggage, throw some things into I just left the bag on the bed, in our stateroom. Our stateroom host took it when he came in and took care of everything
That's so
the
awesome.
next day. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I
I
do
will
think
say I did
it's
go
a good
check out the
experience.
laundry rooms. Like, so I didn't use them on this sailing. I have used like, well, we were on the Wonder, didn't quite pack for the weather that we had a few days. So I did do, oh yeah, and also got ice cream cone all over my outfit that I wanted to wear again anyway. So I was like, oh, I'll just test out the laundry. I will say on the Wish and the Treasure, the laundry rooms, like I hate to even call them laundry rooms because they are laundry
Lounges,
spaces. Yeah.
laundry. They're
Oh my
gorgeous.
gosh, they're so for us it was super convenient too because if you came off, we were on deck 8, so if you come off the elevators, they're right to the right, and then our room was like left,
Decade
right, I
forward.
guess. But like right there. So like if I had wanted to do a load of laundry, it had been really close by, and I did see many people in it. I went in there and like looked around, and they do have. If you'd rather iron yourself, they do have irons in there. So you
Fun. I mean, maybe 10 separate ironing boards. They just got
a
they all
big,
for yeah, a good
yeah,
number
a big
of
room.
space.
You there's definitely like tons of washers and dryers. Like you're not gonna walk in there and be like, oh, it's. I mean, maybe I don't know, but like
Doubtful,
it
doubtful.
seemed like there was plenty available I was in there in the middle of a day when I actually went and like took pictures and walked through and stuff like that. And I was like, this is impressive. Plus, like they have it all decorated, so like where I don't want to do laundry. I'm not a do laundry on vacation person, but if you are, and plenty of people were using it like the last day um, that we were on the boat. So there are plenty of people who like to take clean laundry home. I am not. I am not that person.
Well, and we've got a video, Wizarding Wands and Mickey Ears on the YouTube channel. So you're here on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Go to the Disney Cruise Line playlist, and I've got a video of the laundry room on the Wish, but it's the same
For the
on the
same one. Yeah.
Treasure. So yeah,
Yeah.
so it's just a gorgeous space. And I also have a video walking through the Grand Hall and those levels of the Treasure. Somehow, though, I walked right past the Bippity Boppity Boutique and forgot to mention it.
You know, I will. It's so funny because
Right
it's
there
up on
on
the
that.
next floor
Yeah,
from where you're standing,
right.
right? And it
That's
doesn't
why
really jump out at
the
you.
floor.
Like, I mean, we walked by it many a time, and I knew it was there, but like it doesn't really. So on some of the other ships, it feels like it kind of jumps out more than it does on the Treasure. I don't know. Maybe it was just my
But it's
perspective,
hidden. I
but
mean, it's totally hidden on the fantasy because it's up there by itself and just
yeah,
what's it, deck 11, but it's all by
yeah,
itself. Maybe 12. You access it by 11, so it's just one of
11,
those like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I totally forgot. So I'm sorry, but I walked around the whole thing and pointed everything else out. So, oh, and I missed the spa too. I guess that was kind of tucked away. But
But
oh,
you do have an awesome video also of Sense of Spa on the Wish, which of course is identical to the
yep, the
one on the
rainforest.
Treasure.
Yep, the
So,
rainforest room. And I bought a rainforest pass for this sailing too. I shouldn't have. I didn't spend as much time there as I intended to, but but man, I do love being able to spend some time there.
Yeah.
So I do like my rainforest pass. It's just,
Well, I mean, the heated recliners alone, like, almost make it worth it. Especially, like, you were in January, and did you have like a day or two that was a little cooler?
it wasn't too bad. We had a ton of sun, but yeah, the truth is I'll sit on a heated lounger and then just work from my phone for
Yeah.
several hours. So better than working in my bed,
Oh,
sit on
yeah,
a heated lounger and answer emails. Okay,
absolutely.
it could be
Absolutely.
worse. Could be
What
worse.
deck were you guys on?
We were on 8. We were deck 8, a
Okay.
little bit further aft because we did an ocean view room this time, but not a veranda. I missed my
Mhm.
veranda. I really wish I would have booked a veranda. I really didn't think originally when we booked this that my kids would want to come. And so I booked a smaller room and because they're teenagers and they had school and they missed some things. And so, at first I didn't think they'd want to come. And
Mhm.
then when they decided they did, I mean, pricing for the verandas was really high. And so
Yeah.
we wanted to do a bigger room, the deluxe family category. Always want to have a bigger room because,
Yeah.
I've got 4 grown people now in a
Right.
room. So we did the deluxe family ocean view, but without a veranda. So it
Mhm.
was great though. I mean, the extra space makes all the difference in the world. It was a few $100s more. It wasn't that
Mhm.
much more for
Yeah.
us to have a much more comfortable sailing with the 4 of us. So, I mean,
Mhm.
the more I sail, the more I really do recommend those larger staterooms. If you have 4 people in a stateroom,
Mhm.
if you can do a deluxe family, spend
Yeah.
$300 or $400 more in some cases, just do it because
Yeah.
that extra space, even if you're not spending a lot of time in your room, everyone has stuff. Everyone's
Yeah.
moving stuff or collecting things or, you know, um, drawing, the learn to draw activities or whatever
Yeah.
that you end up bringing a whole bunch of stuff back to the stateroom when
Yeah.
you places. And so,
Yeah.
having that extra several feet makes a huge difference.
Mhm. It
So,
does feel like a huge difference, like I know we've had the family when it was just you and Catherine and I. And
yeah,
like I felt like that made like a huge difference compared to our room when it was the three of us that we didn't have that.
right.
So I'm sure with a fourth person in there that it would that definitely 100% worth it. So like we were on 8. We were midship, but it's barely midship, like right where the line changes from forward to midship, like right where the bump out starts. So
Mhm.
we were the very first room on the bump out and actually liked it so much that we booked the next room over, but down on deck 6, I think, for the Destiny next June. I am super excited about that because I am a huge Hercules fan, like huge,
No.
like watch it every
Mhm.
cruise while getting ready, like it and Aristocats, which is part of why I absolutely loved the Treasure. Huge Aristocats, like our family is the Aristocats, like that is our nickname for trivia. Like
Fun.
it is our movie. So those 2 movies I watch on almost every Disney cruise. So much so that my husband said, "Are we really watching these again?" And I was like, "Yes." He's like, "We just watched them while we were on board the Magic in August." And I go, "And that was August. So like it's March, dude. It's not like I made you watch it last week." Fine. He's fine. Like don't anybody feel sorry for him. He was fine. And also like singing along. So, there's so
Mhm.
just such an amazing like Aristocats Lounge or Scat Cat Lounge. I loved, 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 loved. Just thought it was classic. Well, one I love oh my gosh, what is it called? The champagne. What is it called on the Wish?
Oh, nightingales.
Nightingales, thank you.
Yep.
I loved that space on the Wish. But Scat Cats, like the drinks were right up my alley. I had multiple of the martinis.
We didn't even make it there. We
Oh
didn't even
dear.
make it there. I know. I can't believe it. But we so to like shift over to the lounges and we didn't really talk a whole lot about Worlds of Marvel or 1923. We can bounce back there, but the lounges are on mostly on deck 3. So it's a deck that you enter on. You got the Scat Cat Lounge, the Haunted Mansion Parlor, which is incredible, and the Skipper Society. And then
Aren't they so
upstairs,
awesome?
there's the Periscope Pub and then they've got the coffee shops that are also lounges. So Hey Hey Cafe is on 4. Deck 5 is the Jade Cricket Cafe,
Yeah.
and then Hook's Barbary becomes
Hmm.
a speakeasy at 5 o'clock every day with amazing. So we spent a little bit of time in Hook's Barbary,
Yeah.
having some incredible bourbon and whiskey old fashions. So that was kind of where that went. But there are lots of lounge spaces around the Treasure, and I think what people didn't necessarily like about the Wish, it's the same on the Treasure, is that unlike the other ships, so the Magic, Wonder, Dream, Fantasy all have their adult lounge spaces tucked away. The bottom of the ship, far away from maybe more kid activities. These are all pretty centrally
Hmm.
located, and also in some of the cases doubled in purpose for family activities, trivia, things like that. That didn't bother me at all. That didn't bother me on the Wish, doesn't bother me on the Treasure. I liked the theming of
Hmm.
everything. So yeah.
Like I get maybe what people don't like change, right? So
Right.
I think that was number one with Wish, right? Choose different from any other Disney ship. So like people automatically are like, oh no, but I'm
Totally different,
comfortable.
yeah.
Yeah, right. Totally different layout, like all the things, right? So I think you get that first, right? It's just
Right.
that it's different. So different doesn't mean bad, just means different, right? And what I really noticed on the sailing, probably because I was on longer than we were on the Wish, was even with the live music that was going on in Skipper Society, you couldn't hear it inside the Haunted Mansion Lounge, and they're
Right
right
across the
next to
hall.
each other.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, could not hear it. Even once you got like down the hall near like the Walt Disney Theater, you couldn't hear it anymore. You couldn't hear it like up a deck. And I was like, oh gosh, I think that's kind of like
Right.
loud. Not like can't hear it loud, but like it was live music,
Right.
right? So like, but they did a really good job of you not being able to hear it in other spaces other than the two walk through
Mhm.
uh, areas, which is what it's intended
Right, yeah,
for,
totally
right?
intentional to pull
Um,
people in, right, yeah.
yeah, I loved Skipper Society. Like
I did too.
we were there quite a few times. It is, of course, themed on the Jungle Cruise, so it's like you're hanging out with the skippers, kind of thing, and like they have puns written, like on the boards behind the bar. Like one said something like, um, "Tell your friends about us so they don't come," or like something like that.
Yeah,
Wasn't the wording; it was much better than that. But like
management
that's
is not
typical.
responsible.
Right, that's what it said. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, it was just like fun. So like I feel like especially with it and of course the Haunted Mansion Lounge, like you felt like you were in the rides, right? Like you were
Right,
sitting
totally.
and hanging out in the rides. So like talk about Disney immersive, like it doesn't get any more than those spaces for sure jump to mind. Plaza de Coco also, like you feel like you've stepped into Santa Celia, the town itself. You're like, oh, I'm in the movie.
Right, I wish we would have been able to spend more time at the Haunted Mansion parlor too. We only really spent time there once, and again, 7 night sailing, you think you'll have
Yeah,
time to do it all
yeah.
multiple times, and you just don't. There's so much happening, but
So
the
much
Haunted
going
Mansion
on.
parlor, yes, if you are a classic, Disney Parks fan and you are interested in the Haunted Mansion, that space is exactly like sitting in, the Haunted Mansion. It's
Yeah.
so well done. And I'm really excited that they're bringing it back to the Destiny. I know a lot of people said, hey, I think they should do something different. I don't. I think it's a win and it
Yeah.
belongs, and in as many places as they can put it because it's an
Yeah.
incredibly um,
Yeah.
immersive, exciting place
Yeah.
for, those Disney fans.
Yeah.
Um, Back to dining, did want to, touch on a little bit on 1923. 1923 has two dining rooms. It's the Walt side and the Roy side, and it focuses on the classic animation and just the creation, of the
Hmm.
Disney company. And so there are a lot of artifacts throughout those experiences, or both of the dining locations, and then the meals are there is no entertainment. They're very
Hmm.
subdued. It's not a loud space, and so that's something that I like about it is I do like the entertainment spaces, but sometimes I just want to have a nice
Yeah.
slow meal. And so,
Yeah.
and the second night, um, I think they called it like the captain's dinner or something along
Hmm.
those lines. That
Yeah.
lobster tail, totally worth it. I mean, those menus were great. I think, um, I don't have anything negative to say. And the 1923 menu, the first night was the same as the experience on the Wish.
Hmm.
Again, still one of my favorites. I love the ahi
Yeah.
appetizer.
Same.
I think that there's an apple cheesecake tort dessert thing that's so fantastic. So,
So good.
that's yeah, that I love. And then Worlds of Marvel has two different shows on the
Hmm.
treasure. And show is kind of hard to it's not exactly the right word to use because the first night really is a legitimate show. It's exactly the same as the one on the Wish. The
Yeah.
second night is more just a really loose story about between Rocket and Groot, and then
Hmm.
they do some trivia that you can pay attention to or not pay attention to. So that's like
Yeah.
whatever you want that dining experience to be.
Hmm.
My family are huge Marvel fans, and so we were paying attention to the trivia and trying to guess
We
it
were too.
like that. So
Yeah.
but that one, it wasn't a full show. I don't know what I expected. I think I did want a little bit more Rocket and Groot, to be
And I
completely
did want a
honest.
little, I love Rocket and Groot. So
Yeah.
like I did
Mhm.
want like a little bit more. The music was fantastic. So like
Yeah.
if
The
if
story was
if you
cute.
love
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, music that plays, before or during the show and like in the credits afterwards, like you're gonna love the music for that
It's
night.
all 80s,
Like it was great. Like
It's all
we were
80s.
singing along. I thought the trivia was fun. I love the interactiveness of it. And like Jen said, you can participate or not. It's not like it's gonna be like yelling at you because you don't. It does like light up and whatnot, which is fun and interactive, and I did appreciate it for that. I love I'm gonna go back to 1923. I love 1923, and I think with the rotation that we had, like it was perfectly in the middle, right? So like we had
Right.
the show for Plaza de Coco, and then a more subdued, able to talk, easier night, and then the show for Marvel, then
Pirate
uh,
Night.
da, 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 Pirate Night. And so like it was a great rotation
Yeah, I
for
thought so
like kind
too.
of being more even keeled. Um, so artwork is a little bit different between the 1923 on the Wish and 1923 on the Treasure. Of course, the Treasure is all about adventure, so its movies are more adventure centered that the art is. But I love walking around and looking at the different artifacts that they have in those restaurants. Like, I
Mhm.
just think that's so neat to see. It's also like on the classic ships, you kind of get some of that with Animator's Palette.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
Yep.
wait, I couldn't.
You got
Yeah.
it.
You get that same kind of feeling, with 1923. It's just an elevated, um, more fancier
It
restaurant. Like
is,
I don't
yeah.
know,
It's just yeah, you're right.
but
It is more
yeah,
kind of an
yeah. But
elevated.
the food is always fantastic. I mean, like I didn't have any complaints about the food. Like I mean, I ate plenty, plenty. I am missing the barbecue from the pool deck.
We
Like if
didn't even
somebody
talk
could
about that
deliver it
deck
to my
yet. We
front.
do have to talk about the food on the pool deck. So Marceline Market, again, I've got a video from the Wish. It's exactly the same on the Treasure. That's your buffet sort of, but there's different bays. So on the classic ships, you serve yourself. On the Wish and the Treasure, they serve you, but it's still, buffet. You walk up to the different bays, you let them know what you want. They'll serve you those items. There's a coffee shop right up in there, which is really nice. I like that there's a coffee shop that's right next
Right
to,
there. Yeah.
Marceline Market. So unlike on the other ships where you have to go to Cove Cafe, it's right there
Hmm.
if you're going to the buffet. But then the other food on the pool deck. So it's Mickey's Festival of Foods, I think is what they
Yeah.
loosely, tied all in
Hmm.
together, but Donald's Cantina and then the Smokehouse Barbecue and what
I
am I
ate so
missing?
much barbecue. Like I'm
Right.
almost like
I
you look,
know.
I have to get all my pictures uploaded, but like when you do, like there's a lot of barbecue going on, like just so like
They got the
It
pizza
was
place.
surprising to me. I mean, I'd eaten it on the Wish, number
Yeah,
one.
right.
So like I knew it was good, but like it's so surprising to me that it's this amazing on a cruise ship. Like they're making like authentic pulled pork and
Right.
ribs and chicken and like it was
It's
all so
excellent.
good. I can't
Right.
even tell you like get this one over that one. Like I thought it was all delicious.
Well, yeah, I definitely that I think I eat there more than most other places, but also Donald's Cantina, they have so Donald's Cantina is, quasi Chipotle-ish, except for they don't have chips. I'm realizing one of my
Why don't
friends
they have
said,
chips? I
"Where
you and
can
I
I
have
find
talked about it
tortilla chips?"
before.
And I'm like, "I don't think they have tortilla
They
chips."
don't. I kept thinking that they did, and they don't. They need them.
But they
Like
have
it.
like their salsa station is legit amazing. I want to say, I have to look back, but I think there's something like 12 to 16 different salsas, and you have
Yeah.
everything, every level of spice, heat. I
Mhm.
think I mean, truthfully, heat is missing in the food on a lot of Disney
Mhm.
cruises. They make the food very palatable to lots
Yeah.
of different folks, and I
Mhm.
like a good spice.
Yeah.
Donald's Cantina, their mango habanero salsa is
So
hot.
I didn't have that one, but Craig did because he likes a little bit more heat than I do. But
Oh,
we
good.
were joking at when we were eating at Plaza de Coco the last night. So Plaza de Coco does have chips because it's
Oh, yeah,
authentically
that's a
Mexican.
problem.
And so that instead of having a bread service, they have chips and salsa.
And they're
But
good.
like Jen said, they are like cooking to the masses, right? And so that salsa was it was not. There was no spice. There was nothing to
But
it.
it was so fresh. Like
It
it
was so fresh. It was.
tasted,
I mean, I
yeah,
ate
like a
some. Like,
panna
don't get
cotta,
me wrong.
kind of like a what's what I'm like, or the tomato, oh, like a Spanish salsa, like a tomat, like a just
Yeah,
tomato, olive oil,
yeah. There was a.
some,
It was more. It was more on the sweet side of salsa. I
yeah,
would
like a
say, like
crushed,
from
oh, like a
that
crushed
sweetness
tomato.
from the
Yeah.
tomatoes. Yeah. So like, wasn't bad. Like, wasn't bad. Like, don't like. I ate it.
But a little spice,
Like we were
like a
joking
side
that like
of
they needed
jalapenos or
to bring
something.
down some of the salsas from Donald's Cantina because
Yes.
there were some really good ones up there. And it's so great because like for those you go through and you're like, I'd like this. So you like Donald's Cantina specifically, you could get tacos, you could get it in a bowl, you could get it in a burrito. I feel like I'm missing something else. Maybe that's it. I don't know. And then they had, like different kinds of meats, vegetables, so if vegetables are more your thing, like they had vegetables and different
Beans.
beans, so like all the different things, and you can do it however you want. Like I think Craig did three different types of taco. What?
Yeah,
It's like, could you not make up your mind? And he was like, no, I couldn't. So I got one of each. I'm like, okay then. Like,
I know.
so
Well,
like
and then
that's
someone
the
on their
great
Facebook
thing.
page recommended that you get, all the taco fixins, but no meat, and then head on over to the barbecue and get some pulled pork and throw the pulled
Yes.
pork on there. And I thought, oh,
So I ran out of time to do that, but it
that
will be on
that
my
sounds
next,
good.
Triton class because I thought that was brilliant. I was like, talk about combining, and they are right next to each other, so like combining the best of
Really
both
easy.
worlds kind of thing. Needless to say, you like any cruise, for sure, like any Disney cruise, you're not gonna go away hungry. Like we went in, so Jumbo Suites is like an
Oh,
extra charge.
yeah.
I Weed shop, like is what I'll call it, but that is such a not a good term because it has ice cream, it has gelato, they have cupcakes, they have macarons, uh, like chocolate bark, like so many different things in there. Like the first time I went in there, I walked in, like videoed, took pictures, and walked out. And it wasn't because I didn't want something; it was because I could not make up my mind what I wanted. It took
Right.
me 2 days to go back and be like, first thing I'm gonna get. I should have just started right away, but like
Yeah, and I mean the portion sizes are huge. So I think,
huge.
I went in there and got, I don't even know what to call it, but it was like a cupcakey brownie thing with this chocolate box. I don't even know. It
Yeah,
was like a fudgy, but not a mousse. It was definitely fudgy, but it wasn't super hard. It was something like $4, and all four of us split it. It was
yeah.
great for, little treats. So it's nice to have some of those little extra things that you can purchase if you want them, but not
Even on the
expensive.
Wish, like I remember when you and I were on board, I went in there and got like a chocolate covered Oreo thing. And I thought, oh, like that'll be like a perfect little something just for me. I
Yeah.
only ate half of it because it was like double Oreo. Like it wasn't just like one Oreo cookie, right? It was like multiple Oreo cookies, like each like dipped in chocolate, stuck together and like dipped in chocolate again. So I was like, oh, like I didn't even I don't even think I finished it. So I don't know if I don't even remember that was a couple of years ago. But like you said, like the portion sizes are huge. Like I even got like a single scoop cone um one of the times we were in there, and I'm like, oh my, that was way bigger than like it looked and like I thought it was going to be. Like, but I highly suggest going in there, but like just know there's a lot of choice.
Yeah, yeah, there really is. And so, I mean, there's really something for everyone. Again, on this sailing, I pretty much almost entirely missed the pool deck, to be completely honest. There was so much going on that
Mhm.
I went up there a couple of times. I went to the Cove Cafe, which is the adult pool deck coffee shop specifically. There's also, adult bar section that's a Cove bar. Yeah, but then on the other side, so that's far aft or forward. Now I can't,
Aft,
is
right?
it?
Isn't it?
Because then there's the other space. It must be aft
It's
because
aft.
far forward, deck 14 in the pool area, it's a Chip and Dale pool. No one
Yeah,
ever goes there. I think it's really
never.
easy to miss.
Yeah,
And on the Fantasy and the Dream, it's part of the adult only section, but on this ship is not. And so
yeah.
anyone can go there. There's a ton of seating. There are a couple of extra bars up on either side there too.
Hmm.
And so and then there's the kids splash pad area is on deck 12. So it's up
Hmm.
one far
Yeah.
forward before you get up all the way up to that additional pool deck, the Chip and Dale
Hmm.
pool. And so I feel like there's so much that you can miss if you're not completely walking around
Yeah.
and then going up on both sides. I think the first time I went on the Wish, I completely missed that that area even existed.
Hmm.
So I mean, there's a ton, and then
Yeah.
also in the pool deck, we're seeing the aqua mouse.
Mouse.
Yeah. They've got the aqua mouse, the aqua duck, the aqua dunk.
So we actually had to like shove it in to like get to do it. Like we hadn't done it on the Wish. One, we were just like on the go nonstop while we were on the Wish. So we hadn't done it on the Wish. So I wanted to make sure that I got to experience it. So needless to say, it was early March. Getting in it was fine. It does spray water at, like I'm trying not to give too
Right.
much away. It does spray water at you. That was cold.
Mhm.
But we laughed the entire time, like
Yeah.
the entire time. So on the Wish and the Treasure, it's the Aqua Mouse, and it's a roller coaster at sea, right? That you are still like in
It's a water ride though.
water
Yeah.
ride, yeah. But like you'll see this part of the tunnel is like all white, where on the other ships it's clear. So like I do like it on the other ships for the view of it.
Mhm.
There's only a quick section that isn't in any of these photos. It's on the opposite end,
Yeah.
where you get to see what's going on outside. And we were at Castaway Key, which is where we had rode it on, or my husband and I had wrote it on the Fantasy. So I really quickly go, look out, right? And it was almost like gone before like he could like respond to me yelling that at him. Also, while you're getting like water here, water there, right? I mean, because it's a water ride, but it was so fun. And like I thought it was cute. Like it's
Well, it's
a
a story. It
Mickey.
tells a story, like a loose story as you go. Yeah. And there are two
Yeah,
different ones apparently. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so we got the golden egg one, which is the one for the treasure, but they do also show, oh, I can't think what the other one is.
I don't
That's also on the Wish. So it depends on the day of the week as to which one they show, is what the cast member I was talking to was telling me. But it's just kids would absolutely. I mean, I loved it. Like I said, we laughed like the whole time. But it's a water ride. You're gonna get wet. If you aren't wet at any point by the time you get to the end,
Oh, you'll be
You
wet,
will
yeah.
for sure be
Right.
wet.
It's
But
something like,
we were
yeah.
very wet coming off of it. But it was a gorgeous day out. We had actually done the 5K at Castaway for the first time. It was like a gorgeous day. There were so many people doing it the day that we were, but we obviously I'd been at Castaway Key multiple times. We were just there in August, so it was a great day to go walk that. I can't imagine like the stretch that is the airfield during like hot months. Like that doesn't sound all good to
I know. Yeah. We didn't do that. I've done the Castaway 5K so many times. I wanted to
me.
do a few other things. We still took a
Yeah.
bike ride. That's a story for another day. Or maybe it was a story we already told
I'm
last
pretty
year.
sure we
But one thing
have
I wanted to mention about the Aqua Mouse is that what I appreciated about the boats or whatever you sit in, the tubes, is that they're
mhm,
made for like two adults, two good size adults can be in this. And so
yeah,
even my husband and I, we're not small people. Together, we're
yeah,
probably, over 500 pounds.
yeah,
And we asked and they said, yeah, no problem. And there were people who
yeah.
were us getting in, and I thought, this is really nice. There's something that, I mean, Disney does a good job making things for people of all sizes. And
Mhm,
so, again, if there's someone who's a little bit larger, maybe they might need to ride it alone. I don't know
mhm.
exactly what that size limit is, but two of
So
us,
when
again, good size
so when
adults,
we were on
fine.
board, they were only letting groups of two ride.
Oh,
They said for this, meaning like the one on the Wish and the one on the Treasure, especially, the majority of the time it is only in groups of two, which is kind of like a bummer. If you aren't a group of two
yeah,
or don't have somebody else, maybe make a friend
right.
because they said it has to be like perfect
Balance.
calm weather to not have a
Oh,
wind. And like I said, we were at port and at Castaway, so we weren't at sea. So definitely on at sea days, they were saying most, or at least to the experience on this ship, and one of them said they'd been on the Wish before, that most of the time they are making people ride two at a time. We're on the Fantasy, I know, like some of the tubes are only single rider, but they don't have single rider ones
good.
on the Treasure at least. So that was kind of an interesting tidbit. I love talking to the cast members. Like you can learn so much, let alone like, they're people too, and they always have like these great stories, like where they come from. And we greatly enjoyed our serving team. I mean, like I haven't had a bad serving team on Disney Cruise Line, but the one we had on the Treasure was just a bit above what we've had
Oh,
any other time,
yeah.
which is awesome.
Gosh, we've been at this for a while, and the one thing that we haven't really talked about yet is the entertainment. So, yeah, the entertainment there is nonstop on this ship. I mean, not just, and we will definitely probably spend too much time talking about the Broadway shows, but from the entertainment on, just in this grand hall
Mhm.
area, to the lounges, to the adult only activities, or the adult specific, what's the word I'm looking for? Adult exclusive
Yeah.
activities at Sarabi in the
Mhm.
evenings. I mean, and I looked out on my ship because we had a special guest who was able to join
We're
us.
still talking about it on my cruise. Like Susan
Yeah.
Egan, right, is who was
Yeah.
on yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what? It was
Yeah.
great. So that was an extra show that we didn't intend on,
Mhm.
or two actually. We saw her perform twice. But I mean, there was entertainment everywhere all the time for the
Mhm.
most
Oh yeah.
part. So between the trivia activities, the learn how to draw, to match your mate, to the Indiana Jones, what was that? Choose wisely.
Here's wisely.
Such a silly show. I
So
laughed so
definitely an
hard.
18 and up experience. In fact,
Stupid
they were
humor.
like, if you're under
Yeah.
18, get out.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. Like I loved so sage and coriander appear throughout many activities on the Disney Treasure, and I thought they were just fabulous. You'll see them in the Sail Away show. They do Choose Wisely. They also do the Jungle Cruise I don't even know what to call some of the things like show, but it's like an interactive experience, like in the Grand Hall. Like they pop up everywhere,
They
like
do
just
pirate night,
greatly.
but as you know, as those characters, but the
Yeah.
performers, are involved in pirate night as well. We
Yeah.
had Sage and Court, no, Juniper. We had
Oh,
Juniper
Juniper. Okay.
instead. But yeah, I mean, they were
So fun.
great. They're everywhere. Yeah.
So
So that, I mean, the entertainment is really nonstop
Oh yeah.
on the
And
ship.
then there's always like you had the Broadway performers is what we were talking about with Susan Egan being on yours. There's always something different going on, right? Like
Mhm.
for sailings, right? So if you're on board this year and then you're on board, next year or a year after or whatever, like there are some of that rotates. So we had this group called the Flyboys, so they take popular songs and turn them into swing songs,
Oh,
which at first
fun.
I was like, swing music isn't really like my thing. But they were so fun, and they had an adult only show and then a family show. Those are the two that I think they performed another night, but those are the two that we saw. Greatly enjoyed both of them, and they were both very good. I really liked the 18 and over ones. They were very fun. We actually ended up running into them multiple times after they were done. They were very nice. Craig hit it off with a couple of them. So just great entertainment. And yes, we haven't even talked about the Broadway shows. So second night is Seize the Adventure,
Yeah,
right?
second night. So Seize the Adventure is kind of like the Disney vignette show. It's the all of the Disney cruise ships have a show that pull into different stories of the different characters. So they have a way to showcase the traditional Disney story or Disney character, little pieces throughout kind of a loosely themed show that Seize the Adventure. I love it on the Wish. It's probably my favorite all of like, I love Believe, I love Dreams, I cry at
Yeah.
both of those shows, but Seize the Adventure, it's just so fun, and it's got different
Hmm.
characters than you see on some of the
Yeah.
other shows, so I really liked that they were bringing in a little bit of a different, like, newer, in some cases,
Hmm.
newer characters, so I love Seize the Adventure. It was on night 2. The nice thing
Hmm.
about a longer sailing is that and a shorter sailing, one of those shows is going to be your first night, which is
Yeah.
a whirlwind on embarkation day.
Hmm.
The nice thing about a 7 night sailing is that you can ease yourself in. So this was night 2. Incredibly well done. These shows show opposite of your dining rotation. So if you've got the 5:45 dining rotation, they'll be at 8:30. And if you have the 8 8:15 dining rotation, then they'll be at 6 or 6:30. And so and then the biggest show tends to also have a matinee. But for the most part, your Broadway style shows are opposite your dining rotation. But yeah, Seize the Adventure was great fun, and
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it again.
I do feel like it's a good like any of the shows, right? Like you were saying, it's Believe or it's Dreams on some of the other ships, and where I love them as well. I think again they bring something different,
Yeah.
to each one. But they're great kickoff,
Yes.
shows.
High
So
energy,
like
yeah.
I do feel like you have that. I will say so. Right now, the Treasure is running their two not that show, the other two. I'm trying not to talk about them until like we talk about them, right? But they're running them like the last 2 days
Yeah.
of the cruise. And luckily for us, they did a matinee one because I'm trying to shove so much in to the end of the cruise with having both of them like back to back. Like I would have liked, but with Pirate Night, it's hard. So like it really is probably the best that it could be because I wouldn't want them all at the beginning either. I don't
Right.
know. Maybe I'm hard to place. It could be.
No, I mean, I
Uh,
think there's just so much on all of them though that you just it's hard to do it all and see it
yeah.
all. And we do, I mean, because
Yeah.
so then that second night was Seize the Adventure. Night
Mhm.
3, is that when we had Susan Egan? I no, they didn't board until Jamaica. So night 3, I think there was nothing
Yeah,
that
we
we
didn't
we
have
didn't do anything. We just kind of took it
like a
easy. Night
major
4
anything. Yeah.
was Pirate Night.
Yeah.
So Pirate Night is a ton of fun. I mean, it's really hard
So
to
fun.
miss Pirate Night.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much entertainment and activities. And then
I
Wish and
love
Treasure,
the Wish and the Treasure, Pirate Night are my favorite.
Pirate
Like
Parlay Party,
the
yes.
parlay party. I love them all. Like I love Pirate Night. I think it's so fun. It's the same as like formal night. Like if you don't want to dress up, don't dress up. You'll see people like the gamut, like I mean, I think I've kind of done the gamut too, like of nothing, kind of nothing to like extreme dress up. Like so whatever you're comfortable with, like, do you. Like I think that's Disney period, right? But if you choose to participate, like I just think it makes it like even more fun. So like if you want your kiddos to dress up, they can. Kind of a fun note, we talked about Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique a little bit on uh, Pirate Day.
Day,
Like
yeah,
it
Pirate Night, yep.
is taken over by the pirates. So like even if you're an adult, you can go in there and get made up into a pirate. So that's a, a fun experience, kind of thing that is different from the other days. Um, but then the first show being the Beauty and the Beast show, which I had not seen yet because it's also on board the Dream, which is
Dream.
the only ship that I haven't been on board. Jen has. So she'd seen it. We're huge Beauty and the Beast fans in this house as well, and I thought it was excellent.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the staging. It's just so well thought out. There's not a lull. They move everything so fast,
yeah,
from scene to scene. It's all seamless. It's
yeah,
gorgeous. It's like
yeah,
just so pretty. So, I mean, the designers and the folks who created that show, kudos to them because
yeah,
boy, they've done so much with that. But
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so
It
Beauty
was
and the
really,
Beast,
really good, and I really enjoyed the actors that put it on our show, or on our sailing, which was probably the exact same
yeah,
ones that you had. Like, I just thought they all fit the parts, because like the problem is with a show like that, right? You have this picture in your mind, right? And especially Beauty and the Beast, like there's an animated version and a live action, so like you have these two pictures already. So then when a third comes in, and of course, if you've seen it on Broadway, then you have a third,
right,
so
right, yeah,
like, right. And so that all of that was like in my mind as we sat down to watch it. And I didn't feel like any of it was competing. Like I felt like it was seamless, like that Disney had done a really good job all along with that.
right,
Like
right.
I didn't
Yeah.
feel like, oh, I've seen this before kind of thing.
I know. And the use of pyro in the stage shows. I mean, it's always
On a
just
ship.
on a ship,
Yeah.
right? It's just crazy. And
Yeah.
then, of course, the one that we've been waiting to talk about, The Tale of Moana,
Oh my gosh.
was perfect. It was perfect from start to
So
finish.
even
There's not
knowing
anything
what
they
I
could have
did
done.
about it, right? I hadn't, because obviously you can't take pictures but Disney had put out some
Right.
pictures and, little snippets. So I thought I had an idea of it, right? Like especially the ending. I mean the story is the same, obviously,
Yeah.
but I was just blown away. Just blown away.
I don't know. Like, I think I expected something a little bit different from Maui, and I loved how they played him. I loved
Yeah.
what they did with that character.
Yeah.
He was total brat, and I loved that. I mean, that's
Hmm.
exactly what he is, so
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
just so well done. The use of Grammatala, awesome. I mean, we're a Moana fans. I mean, I'm a
Yeah.
Moana fan. I have
Yeah.
been for when did it come out? It came out right before our first family Aulani trip, so it came out in
Mm.
2016. And from that day, I've been drawn to
Mhm.
this show. And so I
Yeah.
was a little apprehensive with what they were going
Mm.
to do with it. I honestly will say I thought it was perfect. The
Yeah.
staging, the costumes, the music, the pace,
Hmm.
um, the casting, like it was incredibly well done. The
Yeah.
staging was gorgeous. And
Yeah.
Disney does such a great job with lighting. They always bring the stage beyond the stage, which I've
Hmm. Hmm.
appreciated from the very first, Disney cruise experience. And they do it
Yeah.
on all the cruises. Like the
Hmm.
stage is where your main show is happening, but there's always something going on around
Hmm.
the stage as well. So
Yeah.
it envelops you. And this was
Yeah.
no different. And it was,
Yeah.
gosh, it was incredible. And I would book the treasure just to see the Tale of Moana again.
That's so funny. I was just about to say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like just for the ending, like I will even go and say just for the ending of it alone, I would. Like it was just awe-inspiring. Like I was just again like jaw down. So if I picked my jaw up from the first couple of days of being on the
Yeah.
ship, then watching the both of those performances, I just thought were just again like elevated, right? I keep using that word and like it just fits, right? And but for sure the ending of the Tale of Moana and what they are calling a puppet for
Tafiti.
all of that, like I don't know what to call it either, and I guess a puppet is fine,
Yeah.
but puppet does not do it justice. I
Right.
don't know what to call it.
Man, yeah. Yeah. It still gives me chills thinking about it too. So, yeah. And I mean, I think when I say I would book the treasure just for that show, I mean, this is taking a step back. We are travel planners. We work with Mickey Travels, but we paid full price. We are paying the
Of
same
course.
amount for
Yeah.
almost all of our experiences as everyone else. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a Disney Vacation Club member, in most cases, usually a Disney World annual pass holder. But I mean, for
Mhm.
almost all of my Disney experiences, I'm paying the
Yeah.
same amount, as everyone else's. These,
Mhm.
ships, no different. I've got the Destiny booked. That's the public rate that was available to
Yeah.
everyone else, on a placeholder, because I booked my placeholder for my 10% off on a past cruise. But all of these things that we're talking about and so excited about, it's not that we're getting a discount on this.
Yeah.
We are talking about these things with the same level of excitement, paying the same amount as everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think
Yeah.
it's really worth it, and I would not discourage anyone from
Yeah.
sailing on the treasure. I think with the Wish, I will say, a lot of times families with boys will say, well, gosh, I don't think that they'll like it. And there's so much, for the more masculine as well on the ships, but
Mhm.
the Wish does, hedge to the feminine. I would
Yeah.
say this one has really, really genuinely has something for everyone. The kids clubs are the same as on the Wish.
Mhm.
They're incredible. The Oceaneers Club is wonderful. My kids were in Vibe the whole time, even though they're kind of aging out and thought they'd be too cool for it. They still had an
Mhm.
incredible time and met lots of people. Vibe is the teen club and, teens that are aging out, graduating from high school very shortly here didn't think that there would be anything necessarily for them there. And they still
Mhm.
loved it as much as they did on their previous sailings. So that says a lot about that. But I think I really do feel like this ship doesn't, it doesn't appeal to one or the other. It definitely appeals to both. So I'm really interested to see what the Destiny will be because of the heroes and villains theming.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's everybody as well, but
But
they might have fewer princess activities to have more Marvel or
Mhm.
more other characters on the ship. So again, interested to see, what that will look like for everyone. But
Yeah, I totally agree. So, like, kind of back to the picture spots. One thing that the treasure did that I don't remember being available on the Wish, it might be now because it has been a bit since I was on board her. They had like a couple of different days, and it just said like Marvel Photo Experience. And I was like, well, let's check it out, right? So we did. And it was just like a room that's next to Worlds of Marvel. And it's decorated the same as Worlds of Marvel is. And they had some Marvel typey things going on in that room. So I don't want to like tell too much, but like
now
I
I'm
got to
curious because
hold
we didn't make it.
Oh yeah,
I
so I got
didn't.
to hold Captain America's shield. Like I thought that was pretty stinking cool. Craig got to hold Thor's hammer, so like that was pretty nifty. Like again, we're huge Marvel fans, so that was fun. And they were doing like different magic shots as well, so that was a neat experience. And there were a lot of little boys and a few little girls in line as well, dressed up as uh,
Fun.
different Marvel characters and just the cutest family ahead of us with like little ones that were dressed up in different Marvel outfits. So that was super fun since we did not have kids on this cruise. Like it was just neat to see like that magic, right? Because I think Disney magic is different for everyone, right? And where I believe there's something for everyone, like being able to see it through a kid's eyes is super fun. So I am excited to be back on the Treasure next year with my entire family, meaning like my immediate family. So like my husband and I, all four of our kids, our daughter-in-law, and what will be both grandbabies. The one we already have and the one that is on the way. We already have a prince and we're about to get a princess. So that'll be an experience in itself. But I'm
Yeah.
super excited that we're already booked, like back on board the ship. It made the fact that they made us get off a little bit easier.
Oh man. Yeah, there isn't enough money or time to do it all, which is so hard because it's all amazing. I mean, and I totally missed that. I think I
Yeah.
saw it and then I mean, time got away from us, but we did the
Yeah.
magic shots in the Haunted Mansion parlor. So that was cool. I mean, didn't
Which we did
nobody
not get
even
to do.
expect
We did
that.
the
Yeah.
backdrop that was Haunted Mansion, but we didn't do the ones in the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah,
So
that was super
again,
cool.
both on 7 night cruises, and I don't even feel like we touched, like you said,
Right.
like certain spaces. We were going to spend an hour or so like in the pool, and then it started raining, and it wasn't like a bad rain, but I was just like, there's other things to
There's
do.
so much to
So
do.
like we ended up walking the area so that like I could see it with my own eyes, but again, like having been on it in the Wish, I was like, yep, it's exactly the same. Okay, on we go, right? So it was like off to the next thing because there's so much, and I feel like we barely scratched the surface. Like we didn't like we aren't bingo doers, so we didn't do like any bingo,
Mhm.
like but we had friends on board that loved that and had a great experience with it. We're huge trivia doers, but even that, like, I don't even think we did a fourth of the trivias
Oh
that
yeah, right.
were on board, different types. And we did do a few that my husband was like, what are we doing this for? And I just think they're fun to do. Like, I don't expect to win everyone. One of these days, I'm going to win one,
Yeah.
maybe next year. Maybe with the
You
kids,
won
because
one.
like multiple times I
But
was like, oh, the
that was
girls
all my
would totally
family.
know this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was all my family. Like I only got about half of them, but
Yeah.
between my husband and my daughter, it was a Marvel trivia. They
Oh,
got
yeah.
them all. So yeah,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
didn't need my help one bit. The ones I
But at
didn't.
least you got to experience it. And like I think it's just so fun. The atmosphere is always fun for trivia's, whether it's a family one or an 18 and up exclusive. Disney does a really good job with entertainment. Like they are an entertainment company and it shows on the ships as well.
They had a bunch of different craft activities. I didn't make it to a single one of them. And we
Same.
were going pretty much nonstop. I did
Yeah.
work, on the ship. I had plenty to do for work, but it was, a few hours here, there, middle of the day.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if I didn't work there, there'd be a few more things I could have gotten to, but there's no
Hmm.
way I could have gotten to everything. Like if I did a
Yeah.
back to back, I'm
Yeah.
not sure I would have gotten to everything because I would have probably
So
been,
we talked to these people from Australia
yeah.
at the beginning of our cruise that had just done the Western the week
Oh,
before.
really?
And then we're doing the Eastern with us. Yeah, and we talked to them a couple of times. And funny enough, she said the same thing. She's like, she was just enamored by the ship and was so glad they were doing back to backs. But she said, I've been, at that point, it was like maybe 2 days to the end of our cruise. And she's like, I've been on board for like 12 days, still feel like there's areas I haven't been to, things I haven't done, like just such a great experience, like all around. And they were celebrating their, I think, 40th wedding anniversary, like something like that. And this was not their first Disney cruise, but it was their first Disney cruise flying to the States. But she said to make it worth it, they had to do back to backs. I was like, oh, that's a rough life.
That's right. A rough life.
But yeah,
Wonderful.
just what an experience. So like anybody that's thinking about a Disney cruise period, like reach out to one of us. Like we would be happy to walk you through the different options because of course now there are six ships soon, right? Six?
Yeah, six.
Yeah,
Yep.
six.
Seven's coming on
Seven's
board in
coming and
yeah,
eight is
in
right behind it.
November. November. And then number 8, we don't know the name of it yet, but that'll be 2027. They're
No,
saying,
no, eight's coming, right? So seven is the
I'm
Destiny,
sorry,
eight
the
is
8th,
the
yeah, the
Adventure.
8th will be
Number
coming in.
nine.
Oh gosh, forget about the adventure, which is the one out of Singapore. That's totally
Yeah,
different.
I know, totally different. It's
Totally
a
different.
whole other
Yeah.
category, whole other, just so different, so different.
Yeah.
But yeah, number 9 is coming in 2027. So
Yeah.
like where that sounds like it's kind of a ways off, like it'll be here before we know it. 2 new ships this year, like the
Yeah.
fleet is expanding, and then so it's that one and 4 others behind it, right? We'll be
Yes.
at
Yeah. Four
12
others
total.
after that with different sizes and different classes, I guess,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
ships. So like this one, the Destiny, and the Wish, and the one that's coming in 2027 will all be the same Triton class slash Wish class,
Yeah.
whatever they're
Yeah.
calling it now. So same basic layout, but then the new four will be a completely different. Um,
Yeah, they were saying what? So like not as large as the fantasy and the dream, but not as small as the magic and the wonder. So like almost like an in between, and it said to go places like we've never been before.
Right. So we'll see. We'll see. All very exciting. But
So much new.
thanks for hanging with us, talking about the treasure. We both, I think, are completely enamored by
Yeah.
this ship. Please notice that we really didn't talk about our ports at all. And that's because I hate to say it, but with Disney Cruise Line, ports are the last thing that I look at.
Yeah.
I don't want to get off the ship. I mean, we will. We did a few things. Will I do them again? Probably not, not likely. Do I think that they were bad decisions? No, I'm glad I had those experiences, but to me, it wasn't about the ports at all. Everything about this ship was the ship, and I want to
Yeah.
spend all of my time on the ship. And
Yeah.
I could have spent more time on the ship. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I sail the treasure again. I mean, maybe if it goes to Tortola. I've heard so many wonderful things. I haven't been there yet. So Tortola, I
Yeah.
would get off
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I end up on that type of itinerary, but that's not even the deciding factor. To me, it's, do
Yeah.
the dates work? Does the price work? This is the ship I want to be on type of
Yeah.
thing. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think if those align with ports that you want to do, if something seems like, oh, I've been there before, or like, oh, I'd like to go there or something like that, then great. But otherwise, I think my advice is absolutely the same. I love Tortola. I've been there twice now. I would go back hands down. I keep joking that if we were to win the lottery, number one, you have to play before you can win. But like if we did, then I want to get an air conditioned hut on the beach in Tortola. We've now been to 2 different parts of it, and I thought both excursions were amazing. Uh, totally worth like every penny that we spent on them. But for sure, I was picking the ship and the price more than I was anything else, and like going forward as well. Although I did with the Destiny, it schedules for sure. But we did go back and forth between 2, and we settled on one that stops at Castaway Key and Disney's
I
Lookout.
mean, that's a no-brainer though, if that fits.
Right. So like, and the other one just does Castaway, and I love Castaway and could sit on that beach like all of the time as well. But the fact that it does both is the reason that we picked it over the other one. But it was all about the ship to begin with, and we're excited for that to come later this year. But the treasure, if you're on the fence about it and thinking, do I want to like reach out, like we can definitely talk all day about it.
Yeah, totally. Well, thanks so much for joining us. This has been a lot of fun, reliving our experiences, and I'm sure there's more that we could talk about. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. So if you haven't subscribed to Wizarding Wands and Mickey Ears yet, be sure to subscribe. Check out the different playlists we have because we've got videos from all kinds of different Disney destinations. So Disney World, of course, lots of resort tours. Some different things that might be helpful to trip planning, but Disneyland Paris, and of course Disney Cruise Line. So if you're looking for something specific, there's a ton there. Also for Universal, some hotel tours, Volcano Bay, walking around City Walk, things to, get your feet wet if you're not familiar with those areas. So be sure to take a look at that, like our channel, subscribe, but like as many videos as possible because that helps us and the algorithms and all that fun stuff. Costs us nothing to subscribe. If you are looking for assistance with the Disney destination, Adventures by Disney, Universal destination, a vacation, or if you have a friend or coworker who is, please send them our way, and we will be happy to make sure that you have the most magical time. Thanks again for joining us, and until then, enjoy